going on, people? It's your boy, the Boxing Lowdown here, and I am absolutely delighted to be joined by the former British and European light middleweight champion of the world, one of my favorite domestic fighters and fighters in general of all time, Wayne Alexander. Thank you for joining the show, bro. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on, man. How's it going?
Thank you, first of all. It means a lot what you just said. Nice words. I always said as a kid, when I retire from boxing, I want to be remembered. And times like this makes me appreciate, what I've done. And, so thank you for having me on. I'm fine now. Life could be a lot worse. Life is all right at the moment. Can't
Yeah,
complain.
no, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. And I just need to jump straight into it, man. So basically, the other day on my social media, I
Yeah.
posted probably one of the best knockouts I've ever seen, or it could be the best. May very well, and I've watched boxing for a long time, and that is, of course, your knockout against Takalu. One of the best knockouts I've ever seen. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to reach out to Wayne, and if he replies, he replies. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But just see if I can get you on. And you've been responsive. You replied straight away, and I want to talk about that knockout, man. Let's just go straight into it. That, like I said, it was one of the best knockouts I've ever seen. It was tremendous. And looking at it again, I mean, you was originally hurt with a body shot, right? Did he hurt you with a body shot? And then he was attacking you, and then you just lined him up and just caught him with a left hook. Unbelievable shot, man. Talk me through it, if what you remember from it.
Listen. I've spoken about that knockout. So many times, and I never get sick of it. It's my finest hour. It's what I'll be remembered for. For my 35 years of being involved in boxing, that one punch has defined my career. And I can't argue with that. It's a shot that I practiced that shot from when I turned pro with Jimmy Tibbs.
Mm.
Jimmy Tibbs trained Nigel Benn.
Yeah.
And Nigel Benn used to throw the hook off the roll. He used to roll and hook. Remember Nigel Benn? Obviously,
Yes,
Nigel Benn.
of course. Yes. Yeah.
Roll and hook. He used to do that regular. That was one of his honey punches. And I used to practice that with Jimmy on the pads, on the bags, when I was sparring. You know, when I went to Northern Ireland to train for the fight, I continued that. And on the day of the fight, he hurt me with a left hook to the body. He hurt me. I was out on my feet. I was out on my feet, and I see him coming in to finish me off.
Mm.
I've done what I've been practicing for the last 20 years. I rolled a shot, and they landed straight on the chin. And it's funny. I say it so many times. Have you ever had that feeling where everything slows down for a couple of seconds? Have
Yeah.
you ever had
Kind of
that feeling
freeze.
where
Yeah, absolutely. Mm.
yeah, it was like an out of this world experience because I was hurt and I threw a shot off the roll. I remember like for a split second he kind of went down slowly and then the crowd was roaring and I always remember as well after when the referee counted to 10 I I breathed in because I was winded. I was that winded. One more shot on my under my floating move, I would have been out or down.
Mm.
You know,
Wow.
so you know I practiced that shot for like I don't know 15 years, and on that day when I needed it the most, I
It
found
came.
it. Yeah,
And that knockout there will be replayed for years and years. I mean, that was what, 20, 24 years ago that fight was now? Unbelievable. And that knockout is still, being shown today on YouTube clips and on Sky and everywhere else. So can I just ask you this with regards to, because you was back in the day a tremendous puncher. I mean, you had boxing skills as well. You rose up through the amateur ranks. You didn't just rely on your power, but you had it. And is that something that you're born with, or is that, do you work on it to generate power? Like, what do you reckon? Were you born with that power, or did you work on it to get that power to where you got it to?
I'd personally say you're born with it, but you can also work on it.
Mm,
You can't really make somebody who's not a puncher a puncher. You know what I mean?
mm, mm.
But you can make someone stronger. You can make them punch a little bit harder. But I think punches are born, and I mean, I could always punch from a youngster. From a kid, I was stopping boys as a boy. But I mean, I really started getting real power when I turned senior in the amateurs, say 17, 18. So I would say you're born a puncher, but you can work on it. Some guys can't punch, and they never can. They could try by doing weights and all these strength conditioning work, and still won't get no power. So I believe more or less you are born with it.
Yeah. Did that? Could that be a detriment sometimes, where you've got the equalizer? I've seen guys today, not necessarily digging them out, but like let's say Deontay Wilder. I remember he famously said, "You can be perfect for 11 rounds and all the way up until the last second. I only need to be perfect up for that one moment." Could you be? Is there a danger of being too over reliant on your power, where put your boxing skills away because when I catch them they're gonna go? Or was that no? This is just a nice feature to have, but I need to work on the rest of my game.
No, listen, you're right. I mean, I would say that I relied on my power a lot too much, even though 9 out of 10 times it got me out of trouble. But again, being such a big puncher, you always know in your mind that it takes one second to land that shot, and you're KO the fighter. So I do believe I did rely on my power a bit too much, but most of the time, it did help me out.
That's a fair, honest assessment, man. And listen, let me just talk about that division back in the day, because I was a young teenager, watching that fight with you and Takalu, and that light middleweight division back in the day, the early 2000s was unbelievable. You had to be there. You had the likes of you yourself, Takalu, Gary Lockett, Anthony Farnell, and Richard Williams. Now, Richard Williams was a guy I used to like watching as well as yourself. And I always wondered why that fight wasn't made between yourself and Richard Williams, man. I mean, you were both from South London. You were both involved in that light middleweight scene at the time. It was thriving. Why didn't you two guys ever get it on? Was there ever a story to that? Did you ever get close to negotiating a fight? I would have loved to have seen you and Richard Williams.
First of all, I don't know if you know, we fought as amateurs. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that. No.
Okay, watch it on YouTube. It's one of the best amateur fights. One of the best. I fought him in London ABAs in the finals. I was boxing for the Lynn AC. He was with Earlsfield ABC. We boxed in the London ABA finals in '95. One of the best amateur fights people have seen. He beat me on majority. I thought I won it, but anyway, it was a majority. So anyway, we turned pro. I turned pro with Frank Warren. He turned pro with Barry Hearn. At the time, Frank was basically doing his thing with his fighters. Most of his fighters, if they didn't meet, they'd meet each other. If you know what I mean. And Barry Hearn was doing the same thing. So basically, I would say I would blame the promoters, but
politics, yeah.
Politics, that's the word. Politics was involved. You know what I mean? It would have been easier if Richard was a Frank Warren fighter, or I was an Eddie Hearn fighter. It would have been easy to make. So politics, and obviously Frank wanted to do what's best for me, and Eddie wanted to do what's best for his fighter. So yeah, politics got involved. I mean, I'd love to have fought him and got revenge. But like if you look back, most of the Frank Warren fighters didn't fight Hearn fighters. There was also a good fighter called Steve Roberts.
Yeah, Steve Roberts. Yeah, there was also, like I said, Gary Lockett, Anthony Farnell. Like obviously we did get the Takalu fight, but wouldn't it have been great to just they're starting to do like a lot of tournaments now. They had the World Boxing Super Series a few years back, and obviously with Turki Al Sheikh involved in boxing now, we're getting these fights made that might not have been made in the past. But that would have been a great fight for me personally, because that scene was thriving. Do you know what I mean? The light middleweight scene, and I don't think it gets enough attention because there were so many good guys in and around it at that time. It would have been great as a boxing fan to have seen that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you mentioned Farnell. Me and Farnell we're friends now, but at the time we were.
I remember, yeah. I know Takalu and Farnell really didn't like each other at the time as well.
So he won't mind me saying this. At the time, when I won the British title, they nominated him number one to fight me for the British title, and Farnell was a massive ticket seller, and he told me to this day. He said to me that he didn't want to risk fighting me where he could get beat, where he could have easily gone another route. Because at that time they was bringing out these WBO Intercontinentals, weren't they? These minor titles. So he had one of those. He was putting bums on seats. He was selling tickets. So I understand this in a way. Why would I risk fighting you when I could earn the same money or even more money fighting other people? Yeah. So what I'm saying to you is I could have fought Anthony Farnell, but he opted to go another route.
Another route.
So,
Yeah.
but again, it's a business. Boxing's a business. You know what I mean? You can make a lot of money by, I suppose, going your own route. Why not? It's a short career. Like you said, people forget. You want to earn your money and make yourself comfortable. So
Absolutely.
that's the way it goes.
Yeah. Well, you did challenge for a world title back in the day against Harry Simon. He actually retired undefeated, by the way, Harry Simon. But yeah, you lost that fight, unfortunately. Anything you would have done different? Just your memories going back to that fight with Harry Simon?
Do you know what? Harry Simon, when I speak to him now, actually, he's a lovely man. I was offered a fight on short notice, very, very short notice, 1 day's notice. I was half fit, 3/4 fit, fighting for a title defence, a British title defence, against a guy called Jamie Lowther from Leeds. But anyway, so I was offered a fight with Harry Simon, good money I really couldn't turn down. I was told if I got beat, I would still have my British title. So my British rankings wouldn't be touched, and the money was great, and I did believe, going back to power, I did believe anybody I caught, I'd knock out.
Yeah.
So remember you said about your power. I believed anybody I fought, I would have knocked out.
Yeah.
At the time, I had 15 fights, won them all. I think 40 knockouts. So I believed I had to catch him and I'd knock him out. And I caught him in the second round. I had him in the second round.
Yeah.
But experience told, after 4 rounds, I was tired, and he came on strong. So hindsight's a good thing. Hindsight is a good thing, but it's alright to say, if I was fitter, I would have beaten him. But I've got no regrets now, because after that fight, I became number 1 for the EBU,
Yes.
the European title. Basically, my ranking got higher.
Yeah.
After that fight, my people rated me higher because I hurt Harry Simon, had him out in the second round, so he didn't do no harm really.
Yeah.
Apart from breaking my hands, that's all. Yeah, I broke my hands.
Well, a lot of positives to take, man. But yeah, so you've fought the likes of Paul Samuels, another great win there. I mean, you've had a very good career overall in terms of what you've achieved, amateur and professional. Obviously, you're now retired and you're a boxing referee now, right?
Yes, I'm a referee, which I love doing. I love being a third person in the ring. I've been doing it now for 13 years, and it's the nearest thing to actually boxing, yeah, it's not a job to me, it's a hobby, I mean, I love doing it, and may it continue.
Absolutely, yeah. Do you think it was that always the path for you when you retired, or what did you kind of fall into it, or was that always the direction? Like, once you realised that I'm not going to have a professional boxing career much longer, I want to stay involved in the sport, let me do this, or was it, let me try other things and then I'll go into that? Like, how did you kind of get into the refereeing? Was it straight afterwards?
No, actually, afterwards, when I retired, I started doing a bit of coaching, one-on-one coaching, and I never had the love and passion for it. I believe to be a coach, if you want to be a good coach, you still got to have passion for it. You can't be lazy. You can't let down your fires. You got to still want it. You got to still want it in your own way. You got to be hungry, and I wasn't that hungry to be a coach. So rather than me being half-hearted, I told somebody that I don't want to really carry on this the gym, and they said to me, "Wait, now about being a referee." And I thought, that sounds all right. You know what I mean? And I gave it a go, and instantly I liked it. You know what I mean? It was like, I had a little buzz. Like that, the adrenaline rush, like just getting in there. You know what I mean? Being the third person in the ring was exciting, and I liked it from then. I never looked back.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. So yeah, I think it's great, to see, former fighters like yourself being able to find another route and still be involved in boxing. I mean, we've seen over the years a lot of fighters that have retired, and there seems to be that void. There's a void missing. Like they're kind of, there's like a gap, that there's something that they missed, like the adrenaline of walking to the ring and getting there and lacing them up. And we're seeing it like this week with Ricky Hatton. It was announced that he'll be returning to the ring at age 46, 47. And I feel like, I did a video about it, but I feel like with Hatton, there's just that void there. I mean, he had the exhibition a few years ago, and now he's having a professional contest at that age. Is that something, have you ever been tempted to go back, or is that I mean, what's your reaction to like Hatton coming back and everything else? Seems to be a common thing, not just with Hatton, but with fighters in general wanting to come back at a later age.
You see what it is. A lot of fighters when they retire, they still continue training. Some guys will train like they're fighting still, even though they're retired. See me, I trained very hard for my fights, but I didn't like training. I mean, but I trained, but I didn't like it. I must say I didn't like it, but I worked hard for like 2.5 months, 3 months for each fight. Um, but you got guys, a lot of guys when they retire, they still train quite regular, and their mind tells them they've still got it, even though their body hasn't. So basically, it's a lot of it's a mental thing where, we all know Ricky's had his problems and issues, and he keeps active in the gym, doesn't he? He works hard a lot in the gym, which I respect.
Yeah.
Ricky's a couple of years younger than me, and so I was around the same time as him, and he done brilliant. He done better than me, but he loves training. So basically, I think his mind is telling him he's still got it. Do you know what I mean? So, he might have people around him as well who may be encouraging him. Well, he's had phone calls from the Dubai, like,
Yeah,
hasn't
from being in the right?
Yeah.
So
money. We all know money talks.
yeah,
Hatton's a big name still. You know what I mean? Look, like you said the other day, you got announced that he's fighting again. It went worldwide, didn't it? It went worldwide, all over the internet. So, money as well. I wish him all the best, but I don't agree with it. I don't agree that when the guy's been out of the game for 10 years, they should fight again. Once it's over, it's over.
yeah.
But I'm not gonna begrudge or disrespect Ricky because he's done so well with his career. I just hope he doesn't get embarrassed. I mean, his last fight he got beat, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just,
I
he
mean,
lost.
he's not a professional fight. Yeah, he did. I mean, do you feel there's enough support out there for boxers today in terms of I'm sure there is more today than there was 20 years ago. Do you feel like there's enough support out there for retired boxers to choose their next career path, and whether that's to remain in boxing? Do you think that more opportunities are opening up, or do you think it's something that needs to be worked on?
I think there are more opportunities now than probably like 20, 30 years ago. There's even now they got a ringside charity. We had about ringside charity which help ex fighters to stay on the right path. So there are people that are out there to help more
Yeah,
than say 30, 40 years ago. Um, but that's why you're told when you fight to invest your money, your finances. You know what I mean, for a rainy day. You know remember you're self-employed, aren't you? So the money you earn, you got to save it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, well, good to know. And listen, I won't keep you too long. Just
No,
got
no.
one last thing I wanted to ask, really, and that was the current boxing scene today. Are you still? I know you're a referee, so you're in tune to it at some point. But do you ever get to go to arenas to watch any fights? Are there any fighters that you like to watch today, or is it just you kind of doing your thing as a referee now? I don't really have the time. Like, do you get to watch much boxing today, and do you get to go out and see it as a fan?
You know what? I'm a boxing fan and always will be. Not as big as I was when I was fighting, but I
Mm.
still love boxing. And over the past 2 or 3 years, I go to a lot of the big shows. So for example, I was at AJ
Dubois,
Tobias
Dubois, yeah. Mm.
last year.
Mm.
Brilliant occasion. That was a wicked occasion.
Yeah.
I've been to. Shocking result, but anyway, that's another story. But yeah, I was at Buatsi versus Aziz.
Mm.
So yeah, a lot of the big shows I go to. The one at Crystal Palace, who was at Palace last year.
Oh, that Riakpor
Yeah,
and Billy Smith? Yeah.
yeah. So the big shows I do go to. I'm hoping to go to Usyk and Daniel Dubois next week.
Yeah.
So the big shows I attend. I watch a lot of it on YouTube. The internet is taking over now. We was talking about it. It's good and bad, but the internet is taking over now. So I got it on my phone, 24/7.
Yeah.
one thing I don't do, I don't buy the boxing news no more because it's so much on the internet. I don't buy the boxing news no more.
Yeah, the publications. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, when I was a kid in the 80s, there was no internet, was there? So everything was the boxing news. So you knew about something a few days later. Now it's straight away. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, but yeah, so I'm still a fan of the game. I still love the game. You know, I'm not as big as I was 20 years ago, but yeah, I still love boxing, and I'll always love boxing. I'll always watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, me too, man. And listen, I just want to first of all just say thank you for joining this interview today. I know you're a busy man, so thank you for taking time out your schedule to speak to me. And just yeah, if you don't mind, if you put your social media out there, I know you're on Instagram.
Yeah,
Just so people can follow you, those that watch this video, where they can find you.
yeah. Instagram Wayne Alexander the Great. That's my fighting name. Twitter at Wayne Boxing, and Facebook Wayne Alexander. You know, and my YouTube as well, Wayne Alexander on YouTube. So thank you for having me. You know, you
Been a
keep doing
pleasure.
your thing, man. You keep doing your thing, and we'll speak again.
Thank you, Wayne. Yeah, great talking to you, man. And enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Thank you very much, yeah.